Good morning, colleagues. I was trying to wait a little bit to make sure that we are all logged in. And I believe that at least that at this point, we must start our meeting because introductions have a way of taking a little bit of our time. So if you allow me, colleagues, let us kindly introduce ourselves and basically indicate which institution we work for and how we have engaged on the issue at hand on public financial management. Before I welcome you all properly, maybe let's start off with the introductions and then we will get to me saying thank you so much for coming. It will not be any ceremonial. It will not be any ceremonial welcome remarks in view of the fact that we have so many priorities that we're dealing with. So thank you very much. My name is Boemo Sokoma, and I am the Secretary General of the SADC Parliamentary Forum. We may just unmute randomly and introduce myself, or shall I call your name according to what I see on the screen? I see Jeline.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Jeline. I'm from the National Assembly of Seychelles, and I will be assisting in my capacity as a human resource person. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeline. Mr. Mtambo, kindly introduce yourself, then Jake, then Cameron. Yes. Okay. I think he's engrossed in something or trying to unmute. You may go ahead, Jay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jay Cruz. I'm based at Rhodes University in South Africa, and I'm the Director of the Public Service Accountability Monitor. Thank you.
Cameron, go ahead. Mr. Govender, you may kindly introduce yourself. You are muted.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Yeah.
Morning to you, Boema, and morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
My name is Kay Govender. I'm Research Director at HERD at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and HERD is a acronym is Health, Economics, and Financing at the university. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome. Mr. Mtambo?
Thank you, SG. My name is Mtambo. I'm sorry I was struggling to get to the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Mtambo Simon from the National Assembly of Zambia. I'm the Deputy Principal Clerk there. I'm an economist by profession, and I've been working for the Assembly for over 15 years now. Thank you.
Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Chivore?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pepkai Shiore from Zimbabwe. I work for the Parliament Budget Office. I'm the director there, but I'm an economist by profession. Thank you.
Thank you very much. SADC PF, you've been...
Thank you, SG, and good morning, colleagues. My name is Shaunin Rasha. I'm the Program Manager for Democracy and Governance at the SADC Parliamentary Forum. I'm also responsible for parliamentary business. It's a pleasure to be in the meeting.
Thank you very much. Adolf, go ahead if SADC PF. I'm just reading what's on my screen, apologies. Adolf, then Agnes, Charles. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam SG. My apologies. My network seems to be jumpy, so I can't show my video. But my name is Adolf.
We know you're still in pajamas. It's okay.
No.
I'm joking.
My name is Adolf Maveneke. I work for Surface, which is a regional NGO with its head office in Harare, and I serve there as the regional policy and advocacy specialist. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes.
Good morning. My name is, let me switch on my video. I'm not in pajamas though. Good morning. My name is Agnes. I'm the personal assistant to the Secretary General, SADC Parliamentary Forum. Thank you.
So this is a lady who's in corresponding with you on most of these issues. Charles?
Hello, Secretary General. I am in my pajamas, so I won't show you my video.
Thank you for your honesty.
No, well, I started the call with a lie, so I need to apologize. I work with the United Nations Development Programme on supporting our parliamentary strengthening work in about 60 countries, including a number of your members. And thanks for the invitation to support this work. I used to be the chair of the New Zealand Public Accounts Committee in the Parliament there when I was an MP some years ago. So that plus the work that I've been doing with UNDP, I hope will be of some benefit to this process. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Charles, for being a friend of the forum. Johannes?
My name is Johannes Chimiya. I'm currently the Global Tax Advisor at Action Aid International. I am a Zimbabwean, but based in Mozambique. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're glad you're still alive. The storms were quite bad.
Yeah, we are struggling.
Oh, we are praying for all of you. Now the screen is muddled up. I see you're gone. If you could introduce yourself, then Jeff and Mrs. Yapoka.
Hi, yes, I think that's me, actually pronounced Owen Brady. I'm a senior economist at CHAI, the Clinton Health Access Initiative. I live in South Africa. I work regionally, so we support governments in the region on public financial management and many other health financing issues across, 13 countries specifically on PFM. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this.
Thank you so much. We come a long way on this subject. Jeff?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Zulu from the National Assembly of Zambia. I'm the SADC Parliamentary Forum Desk Officer.
Thank you. Mrs. Mungandi?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Yapoka Mungandi. I'm the Director of Administration, Finance, and Human Resource at the SADC Parliamentary Forum.
Thank you so much. I don't know who I've not been able, I'm limited in terms of what I can see on the screen at this point. If I have not introduced you, kindly introduce yourself, or if you have not, does it mean that's all of us? I know I have two people who are trying to join in now, but I guess they'll find us having gone ahead with the meeting. And thank you so much, colleagues, for joining in and acceding to our invitation. This is such an important day for the SADC Parliamentary Forum. Most of you are well aware that we've been having this discussion for the past 2 years. And some of you were part of the proposal writing process when we identified this area in our proposal to Sweden, and we were basically having to indicate which stakeholders we are going to work with and what is the comparative advantage to this process. And I'm happy that today we come together for a very important process, which is to start our first meeting in earnest and put together all those energies and efforts that requires to push on this particular agenda. You have all received the concept notes and the implementation forms. No, sorry, the concept notes, the adverts, and all other communication from the plenary assembly regarding this matter. We are happy that our board agreed to take up this matter of developing the model law on public financial management. And we believe that it will go a long way in facilitating our parliaments to take a lot of these governance issues into consideration as their priorities. As you are well aware, out of the 16 parliaments in the SADC region, only 3 parliaments, I'm informed, and I stand to be corrected, have budget offices. And these parliaments are the Parliament of Zimbabwe, the Parliament of Zambia, and the Parliament of South Africa. The Parliament of South Africa is yet to join us because we believe that our members who have made headway in this area, some of them have published in this area of public financial management. Some have also developed manuals for use by members of parliament, and these can be found on their websites. We find that this adds a lot of value to what the SADC Parliamentary Forum can eventually succeed in doing. We have a history, as articulated in the concept note, of developing model laws, or what you call, it's not always model laws, but normative frameworks. We have minimum standards that we also develop where the need arises. And this is all done in order for us to be able to input or to improve on the representative role of our members of parliament, to influence the policy and scrutiny process that our members of parliament gets engaged in at the policy level in parliament. Because without a competitive institution of parliament, we are seriously creating a deficit in our democracy. And therefore, this is our investment. We also do these normative frameworks in order for us to tag along those who are voting for these members of parliament so that they may fully appreciate what it is that the members of parliament need to do and how they should engage with these structures in parliament and their members in a manner that actually is quite valuable to what we'd like to see them do in their mandated roles, as opposed to what we normally prize, like paying for a funeral or attending to our needs at the constituency level. With these few words, I would like to express my appreciation to all your institutions for the support that you've given us, for the input that you've given us throughout the years. We have sent out a lot of invitations to other institutions who have not been able to respond to this call. And we believe that we may not be able to wait any longer. And at this point, we need to move on with the business of engaging a consultant to draft the model law and all other processes that are involved in ensuring that at least by the 50th plenary assembly, which is happening in December, we may table something substantive. And that is our dream for our membership to review. With these few words, colleagues, thank you for your presence. And I would like for us to start by flagging the agenda for your input and be able to go through the terms of reference quickly before we start off with our key issues for the day. I thank you for your kind attention. The agenda is flagged. You will recall this was shared with you. There was an amendment at 3 where we had written election of the chairperson. It's supposed to be election of the secretary. We have disposed of agenda item number 1, which is introduction of members. Now I would like for us to move to reviewing the terms of reference. Some of you have given us feedback, which is quite useful, but we will flag the one that has the latest input from SAFAID so that as we go along, we're able to make the necessary input onto the terms of reference. Then we will go on to basically vet the selection and recruitment committee for recruiting the drafter, and quickly just outline a few areas to focus us between now and December, and then entertain any other business that may arise. With those 6 agenda item points, may I get your approval to proceed as proposed, or if there are any additions or inputs into the agenda, kindly indicate so we may amend accordingly. I do not see any hand. I know, good, thank you. The agenda is fine. I'm getting the feedback. Ms. Elizabeth Hove, could you kindly introduce yourself quickly, because I see you've joined in, and indicate your portfolio within the SADC Parliamentary Forum. As we proceed, kindly flag the terms of reference, Ronald. Colleagues, I believe that Elizabeth, okay, we may proceed. She'll do so later on. Elizabeth is the legal drafter who is seconded to the SADC peer from the Parliament of Zimbabwe, and she will be quite hands-on with myself in assisting me to chair the proceedings from this end and give us direction where need me from the SADC Parliamentary Forum side. So she'll be the principal person working on this process to make sure that we chair accordingly as a SADC Parliamentary Forum. The first part, colleagues, is just the background, which just gives you the background. You may move, Ronald, if you, yeah. This just gives you the background, and it locates the mandate of this process. And some of you may wish to request for the strategic plan of the forum. We will be able to share it with you. In fact, we'll just send it out to you at the end of this meeting. And below there, we are trying to locate the relevance of such an exercise within the SDGs, within the Africa Agenda 2063, within our national parliament's priorities. And we emphasize that this all should lead to good and robust prudential planning in most of our countries, where we are dealing with the scarcity of resources. And now it's gotten worse with regards to COVID-19. We then go on to speak of certain norms that should be infused into this framework, and therefore we underline that this should be done within a human rights framework. We therefore look at the key performance indicators which should enhance the oversight of members of parliament and our governments. When you go further, this is where we got the mandate from. It was from the 46th Plenary Assembly of the Forum, where they basically said, go ahead, and we approve this concept note. You may go ahead and develop the model law on public financial management. So we've got an input there. It is noted it was a typo, where it was said a technical working group will thus be constituted. It has, yeah, that will be corrected accordingly. Thank you so much, Adolf. So the terms of reference are on the screen as they are. I don't know how you'd like me to do that. I'm assuming that you have already gone through them and read them, but I could try and read them and see if there's anything that we pick paragraph by paragraph so that we really adopt them, accordingly. The present document enshrines the terms of reference of the technical working group for the development of the SADC model law on public financial management. It is made of 3 pages. The objective of the working group, the principal objective of the working group, okay, Ronald, kindly let in Valerie, who's trying to come in, she's in the waiting room. The principal objective of the technical working group is to ensure that the development of the SADC model law follows a scientific and evidence-based approach, which is supported by the required academic, technical, and professional input, as may be required to deliver a high-level legal instrument that responds to the demanding needs of the SADC region in terms of addressing public financial management from a whole of society perspective. Are there any?
Apologies.
Yes?
She's not in the waiting room, ma'am. I think
Okay,
she's
it's
using another
fine.
link.
Maybe she's, yeah, she'll come through. Is there any addition for that paragraph? Okay. Just use your reaction so that I can, yeah, if there's anything for me to pause, or just unmute yourself. The functions of the technical working group, and I believe this is where maybe there'll be more engagement. The technical working group shall be entrusted with the following functions. They'll act as a central point of call for all initiatives relating to the development of the SADC model law on public financial management. They will guide the way forward for the development of the model law by devising a costed action plan and roadmap, which should cover the main steps until adoption of the model law by the SADC Parliamentary Forum Plenary Assembly. They'll provide comprehensive technical guidance to the consultant in charge of preparing the legislative provisions of the SADC model law, including by indicating relevant studies. In this respect, the technical working group will advise the consultant on the public financial management related literature review required and will furnish broad drafting instructions to the consultant accordingly. The working group will review and comment on the inception report or the situation analysis of the consultant, as well as the draft version or versions of the SADC model law. We're definitely going to have several versions. Ensure that the provisions of the SADC model law, as prepared by the consultant, capture live issues related to public financial management that are particularly relevant to the SADC region, and participate at the validation workshop of the SADC model law in collaboration with the Trade, Industry, Financial and Investment Standing Committee, and interact with the SADC parliamentarians in view of giving technical guidance for the recommendation of the model law to the SADC Parliamentary Forum Plenary Assembly. The technical working group will ensure the streamlining and coherence. Is that a hand? Elizabeth?
Yes, it's Elizabeth. Let me assist you in reading.
Thank you. I was waiting for you, actually. Thank you for that offer, Elizabeth. Kindly proceed. As you are the one who's going to make the corrections anyway.
For you are now on, you just finished paragraph E, we go on to paragraph F. Participate at the validation of the SADC model law in collaboration with the Trade, Industry, Finance and Investment Standing Committee, and interact with SADC parliamentarians in view of giving technical guidance for the recommendation of the model law to the SADC PF Plenary Assembly. G, ensure the streamlining and coherence of the SADC model law on PFM with the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, Africa Agenda 2063, and such other regional strategies that may be of pertinence. H, ensure that resources deployed for the development of the SADC model law are used effectively, including by ensuring a structured approach which eliminates possible duplication of tasks by members of the working group or the consultant. Are there any comments there? Or we can move on to 4. I see there's a highlight under 4. Composition, sub-working groups, and co-opting. 1. Subject to subsection 2, the technical working group will be composed of representatives of the SADC Parliamentary Forum and representatives of partner organizations, including but not limited to CHAI, Academia, etc., which is underlined for noting. As far as possible, the technical working group will be composed of 1 representative from each organization, except where the nature of technical input to be furnished in accordance with an area of the model law warrants the participation of more than 1 representative from the same organization. The technical
May I comment there, Elizabeth? Sorry.
Yes,
we received commentary for 4.1. Indeed, there are many organizations that are represented here. At the beginning of this process, we're in discussion with CHAI and HERD, and I think it was just a matter of being conservative with listing. we will probably just amend that to indicate that representatives of partner organizations, and then we can talk of including academia, CSOs, and so forth, so that we don't mention one organization over the others, if that would help.
Yes, it would. I think it will also provide clarity and ease the partner, the organizations we're working with.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I move on to 3. The technical working group may form sub-working groups to accommodate broader academic, professional, and technical engagement as may be required after the sub-working group shall promptly report its findings to the technical working group. 4, the technical working group will additionally have the ability to co-opt other members to provide guiding expertise as and when required. Are there any comments there? Or should we just invite comments at the end, ma'am, other than the ones that are underlined?
Yes, and I think there's a comment to say that we should, the current terms of reference don't really contain a time frame for the group to undertake its responsibilities, and there's a suggestion that we add this. We can discuss this further, you know, and I think it would be prudent to do so and indicate that if we need to, we'll extend the time through, you know, mutual consensus of the members of the technical working group. I think that's appropriate to make us time-bound.
Okay. Chairperson and decision-making process. The chairperson of the technical working group shall be a representative of the forum. As far as possible, decisions shall be taken by consensus and alternatively by a majority vote, but with the chairperson having no casting vote. Notwithstanding sections 1 and 2, the chairperson shall take into consideration the directional guidance of the SADC Parliamentary Forum or the TIFI Standing Committee, which is necessary for the adoption of the SADC model law by the SADC PF Plenary Assembly. A quorum, 6 quorum, subject to subsection 2. The quorum of the working group shall be a majority of its members.
Okay, there I think there was a question of what do we mean by majority? Normally it's 50+1, but given the fact that we may have a lot of absences and other priorities, we may wish to dilute that 6-1. I leave it to the group to look at it and assist there.
Okay.
I think
so
we need to be clear, is it 50+? Okay.
I'm asking, ma'am.
Yes, what you say?
I'm asking. I was asking, should we allow members of the group to share their views now?
Yes, I think they should. They are busy writing on the group as well. But I think let's allow Mr. Shiminya to say something and the other members.
Sorry, I was reacting to the comment on the time frame, because as I was looking at it, I think it is the purpose of now this technical working group under item 3B to devise this action plan and roadmap, which will have the time frames to guide us as to how we will work towards the end.
Okay.
Maybe just a difference in terms of interpretation.
Okay. No, that is noted. Regarding 6-1, colleagues.
Would we like to
go ahead?
Since it's a working group, I would lower down the quorum to 1/3 of the membership.
There's a proposal, colleague. Mrs. Mungandi has a hand up.
I wanted to propose, SG, that we read 6-2 together with 6-1 before we can comment.
Okay. So 6.2 reads, in case of a postponed meeting due to a lack of quorum, The quorum at the postponed meeting shall be the members present in case the same members are still absent. I think Ms. Mungandi had a comment there. Now that
yes, she was wondering if 6.2 would not take care of itself. Okay, go ahead. There's somebody who's...
Yes. I was wondering if 6.2 does not take care of 6.1. But also I'm concerned with the fact that at 6.2, there's no time limit as to when the postponed meeting can then take place. For example, if there's no quorum in the morning, can you reconvene 2 hours later and hold a postponed meeting and therefore assume that the members present they form the quorum if the same members are still absent?
Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
I want to go back to the proposal I had made. I think that this is a technical working group. I propose that we lower down the quorum to 1/3 of the membership.
Colleagues, there is a proposal. ONJ, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Surface, what are your views? So that we make the necessary amendment. Some are indicating they'll support 50+1.
Yes.
Any other comments?
SG.
Okay. Yes.
That's Mutambo from Zambia.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would go for the majority of its members because obviously they're decision making, but tied with number 2 and also adding what Yapoka has said, that we should put a time frame, because if we have 50% and we don't have a quorum, we'll still proceed with the meeting. If, for instance, we say after 2 hours. So my view is that to protect the majority aspects, we can maintain number 1, but only tie to and give a time frame to when you can reconstitute the meeting and take care of the shortfall in 1 in case it happens.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Adolf? Ms. Hove, you need to conclude on that matter after comments. Yes, Adolf?
Yes, thank you, Madam SG. Maybe I don't know if we have an answer to this at this point in time, that if we are saying 1/3 or 50+1, it's 1/3 or 50+1 of what? Are we in a position at this point in time to say the technical working group consists of 15 members, 16 members, 20 members? Perhaps if that becomes clear at this point in time, then it also then provides clarity in terms of the ongoing discussions. Thank you.
Yes, the working group has, Agnes, kindly check quickly for me. We have members that are yet to respond. And as I indicated in my opening remarks, we had to proceed even while others are still coming on board. We'll keep it open but for now where we start, I think we have about, I'll confirm the numbers, but ordinarily we don't want to have a huge number. I think even if we have about 15, 20 members, given that it's a regional program, we are happy with that.
Madam SG.
Yes.
K. Governor. Just to continue the conversation of this, my proposal is that is for us to have a third, and the reason for that, I would think, is that we want to keep the continuity and group. At times, if you have to wait for members to, if you're looking at the 50+1, then that could impede the progress of the activities of the group. That could be the disadvantage. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. There are 2 proposals on the table. I believe the time frame issue is quite critical. We'll add it as 3. The one that we seem to be stuck on is the issue of 1/3 or or 50+1. So what do we do? Decisions were made by consensus. What do we do, colleagues? Kindly help us conclude this matter. There are reasons advanced in terms of not wanting to impede the progress. I'm probably thinking 50+1 is a higher threshold in this case. How do you balance these two views? So far, we have 12 members confirmed and in the working group. And I think we have sent out invitations to more than that. So what then obtains in a situation like that where we have 12 members to date? Valerie? Owen?
Hello, sorry.
Sure. Go ahead.
You introduce yourself too at the same time, Valerie.
Sorry, I'm late. So I'm Valerie. I'm from the Regulatory Institute, and my organization is a non-profit that is working to make regulations better around the world by researching good reference regulation and legislation and sharing that. So the problem is about the working group being so large or too large, and how to balance the regional, let's say regional membership on the working group. Did I understand that correctly?
No, the issue is the subject of a quorum for a meeting to take place. Should we settle for a majority of its members, or should we lower the threshold? Should it be a third because of the small nature of the group, or should it be 50+1? And will this not impede on progress of the meeting depending on either?
What's the standard usually used?
Well, the standard is 50+1, but the suggestion is that because this is a working group, we must be mindful.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be to the same high standard. Well, working to a third will be more manageable because you want to work under a strict timeline. So in terms of practicalities, that makes more sense. But then, I don't know if there were folks that were going to be not happy about that from a balance perspective, that, I don't have a solution for that. So I'm sorry.
Okay, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. Given that we want to. Okay, go ahead, Charles. Thank you.
Sorry, this is Owen. I was just going to say, I would say the 1/3 solution, I don't think really solves the problem, because then what if only 1/4 show up? So I agree with the member who suggested that 6.2 is the solution to this. So just by putting in a minimum amount of time delay before you could hold a postponed meeting. So I would say just make that period as short as possible, and just go ahead with however many people are there. So don't say, just leave 6.1 as it is, make a shorter time period as possible for 6.2, so you can go ahead. And that's the way I see it, is there's no real concern here that nobody's going to have a power grab here. I don't think anyone's worried that there's, that some people are going to run away with the process. I think it's more about continuity. So unless anyone really thinks that we need to make sure a large number of people are represented all the time, I would say just have a 1 hour delay or something for 6.2, and then the process can go ahead with however many people are there.
Okay, I think I don't see any more hands. Okay, Charles, you wanted to say something? Okay.
Yes, Madam Secretary General, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Mm-hmm.
I think with respect to the perspective that's just been given, the problem that you might face with that practice is that it might consistently become the case that meetings are called, a quorum isn't achieved, and then you proceed anyway after an hour. And I think that there's a risk. I've seen this happen in similar situations where, just a small number of people attend the meetings and know that it's going to be an hour late because there won't be a large number attending, and that's the risk of falling back on that sort of provision. My own suggestion, for what it's worth, is, given the technical nature of the work that's required, you could probably progress with a minimum of 1/3, but obviously try very hard to get greater attendance. And hopefully the work will be of interest to member states, and they will want to take an interest and attend.
Yeah, just to indicate that in this particular case, it is us, these organizations represented in this group, that we are worried about. How, for ownership purposes, for your integrity of your organizations, would it be representative enough for us to go ahead with decisions and processes with the majority of its members owning the process and having contributed to it based on the terms of reference that we have above, or would we then settle for that threshold? I think we've made our point, and I can see that the views expressed all are meaningful, but let me hand over to Ms. Hove to conclude on summarizing how we'll draft this particular. I don't want us to vote on such an issue, but I think the one that I see now, it looks like people are leaning to 50+1. 6-2 will take off the lack of the quorum, and then we'll be able to, okay, I don't know, there's so many now. Others want 1/3. So help me conclude that one, Ms. Hove. I wouldn't want us to vote on this one.
Thank you, ma'am. I noted from the comments that a large number are for the 50+1. So I think we should, personally, I think we should stick to the majority of its members. One, it's already the custom of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, and then add to it, like Ms. Mungundi suggested, a time frame within which the members must, because 6-2 is already there. So if we maintain it as it is, I'm suggesting that we maintain it as it is, and then add a time frame within which the postponed meeting must take place.
SG, if I may.
Okay.
Apart from the time frame within which the meeting must take place, I think we must have a minimum number, because you don't want 2 people meeting on account of this point 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So to cater for, but then it takes away from subsection 1 of section 6. So what we are saying is we then have to actually make a decision. Are we maintaining the 50+1, or are we now going for the 1/3 provision? From what she's just added right now, what Yapoka has just further comments, there is a need for us to have a minimum number of people. So I don't know how best we can balance ensuring that we have 50+1. And if we are saying that we're going to put a figure in subsection 2, how are we coming about with that figure? Because we don't know how many people are going to pop up on the day that the meeting is scheduled. So it's a bit of a difficult one. With that in mind, I'm now leaning more towards the 1/3 provision, because I feel there's a better chance of us getting 5 out of 15 people in a meeting. Maybe we can include the 1/3. I don't know how to we can.
I think the 1/3 can be included where the meeting has to be reconvened. Yeah.
In the second one, in subsection 2, in the postponed meeting.
Yes.
And then we maintain the majority in subsection 1, and then have a subsection 3 that speaks to the time frame within which the meeting, the postponed meeting should take place.
Yes, I think that's what we can do. But also just to allay, I mean, we've never had a scenario where we have to postpone a meeting because I think on email, as we propose dates, and I think what we're going to attempt to do in this particular case, the lesson has been maybe we should project our meetings earlier, you know, so that people then have enough time to be represented. And remember, it may not have to be you in person. You may request somebody in the organization to represent the organization. So with that flexibility, I believe that we'll always have the majority of its members present. But having just for being complete with all the thoughts that we have, we'll still add those subsections to cater for any eventuality.
Okay. Okay, so I think we can now move on. I think we've concluded this one. Subsection 1 subsists as it is. Subsection 2, we include 1/3, and subsection 3 speaks to the time frame within which the postponed meeting should take place.
Mm-hmm.
So 7, the secretariat of the working group. Subsection 1, the members of the technical working group shall designate a secretary to the working group, which may be facilitated by one member organization. 2, the secretary of the working group shall have the following duties. A, to convene the working group as required and inform members of developments made. B, to act as the focal point of the working group with respect to third parties. C, to circulate information and documents for review and compile the results. D, to act as a repository of the records of the working group for the development of the model law. And E, to perform such secretarial duties as may be deemed appropriate by the chairperson. I just have one suggestion there. After the word duties in the chapeau, we can just put a comma and add the 2 so that the paragraphs already have the 2.
All right. Okay, thank you. Any comments, colleagues? Mm-hmm. We proceed. I hope we're all thinking of supporting this process. I don't see any comments. No comments on 7. Thank you.
Okay, 8, meetings of the technical working group. Meetings of the technical working group shall be held regularly by physical or teleconferencing means as advised by the chairperson. Let me just read 9 and then we can comment on them together. 9, procedure, except as otherwise provided in these TORs with an S, the technical working group may regulate its own procedure. So there's just that typo of the TOR.
Yes. Thank you. Colleagues, input, so we move on. I don't see any hands. No comments on 8 and 9. Thank you. I think Adolf, okay, we're all set. Thank you so much. Congratulations, colleagues. This brings us to the end. So what would happen is that Ms. Hove will input the changes and send to you the terms of reference, and she'll create a table at the end where all of you who are part of this inaugural process or who have signed up can just sign next to your institutions. So may we, and not forget also the time frame for the terms of reference, to be included on the terms of reference so that the members of the working group know how long this engagement will require from their institutions. So thank you very much. I think we may put it down. The next issue on the agenda related to, Ronald, remind me. Yes, election of secretary. We didn't prepare. Ronald, I'm sure you'll quickly whip something up. Colleagues, the terms of reference for the working group have been included, and I believe that we've all had sight of what the secretary to this process would be required to do to assist in the technical working group. Election of the chairperson. The chairperson is the SADC PF. I think was mentioned as, we made a mistake by putting election of the chair. It was supposed to be election of the secretary. The chairperson has to be a member of the SADC Parliamentary Forum. So if I may have nominations for the position of secretary.
Secretary General, it's Valerie. I'm happy to nominate to put my hand up.
Okay, thank you, Valerie. Any other nominations or seconded to Valerie's proposal? I have a seconder for Valerie's proposal.
What is Valerie's proposal? Sorry.
Valerie would be happy for her organization to serve as a secretary to the technical working group.
Okay, which organization is that?
Yes, please, Valerie, you may wish to.
It's the Regulatory Institute. Apologies, I came in late to the meeting.
Maybe just give them a brief about your organization so that they have an appreciation of.
So the Regulatory Institute is a non-profit organization. It's registered in Brussels, and we're working to research methods of good regulations and sharing that with, we do research articles. We look at what's the best practice for regulation on various topics. Actually, right now I'm writing on the topic of animal welfare regulation. The reason why I'm doing that, because several jurisdictions are currently looking at updating their regulations for animal welfare. And so what we do is we'll do a lot of research in one topic, in this case, animal welfare, and then we'll share that with those governments that are doing public consultations on that topic. And each month we release a new topic about a particular issue, and then we share that. We also do advocacy. We participate in public consultations around the world, and we help in forums such as this to research best practice and use the techniques that we have in our handbook to make sure that regulation works for all of us.
Thank you, Valerie. Any other proposal for, yeah. I don't see any, or am I? Are you satisfied?
Chairperson.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, sorry. I think I hear Valerie's presentation, and I think that the institution is quite credible. I was just thinking, when I look at the kind of work that the sector is supposed to be doing, and I also look at what they are doing, which is quite a lot of work. My thinking is that it will actually be better if the secretary came from SADC PF, because I think it's about keeping information, informing people about the meeting, So, but when I look at Valerie, they're able to do it very well, but I'm thinking that they're quite busy in terms of the sort of work that you require from a secretary. I don't know, that's what I think. So probably could get somebody from SADC PF itself and keep information for us and take it. But if they're able to do it with all this information, with the work they're doing, I think I have no problem with that. Thank you.
Yes. No, thank you very much. The secretary works very closely with SADC PF, and as part part of how our technical working groups operate, we normally get a partner who's invested in this process to basically assist us, because we are limited in terms of capacity at the SADC Parliamentary Forum.
Okay, then I second Valerie.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. I believe that Valerie, you have been nominated as the chair. Anybody who's opposed to this nomination? Unopposed nomination? I don't see any hand. Okay, thank you very much, Valerie, and congratulations.
Thank you,
So
Secretary.
much. Thank you. Yes. Now, selection of the recruitment committee for the model law drafter. Colleagues, here you'll note that I did indicate that we come along with this process. We had applications that came through to the SADC Parliamentary Forum for recruiting, and most of you have received the adverts. These adverts went out last year. But due to the fact that we're dealing with another model law of gender-based violence, and because of this online Zoom, getting participation, streamlining processes is quite engaging. We felt then that we need to get the right people in this field who are very much hands-on and who would know the type of drafter that would basically serve this process very well. And we put together a select committee from about 7 organizations, including the SADC PF, to assist us in the selection and the recruitment committee. And this we're bringing to you as a technical working group to validate. They have met on the 5th, and they are continuing with that process. The chairperson has already been represented. It's the Rhodes University, represented by Kay. And if you allow me, before I invite him, to just kind of give you a brief of what has happened, we're tabling this for your consideration and approval. It had to be done in the interim.
Thank you, SG. So we at a meeting that was held last week, a committee was constituted with the assistance of the SADC PF, and we've been supplied with the applicants, and we've communicated with the committee requesting that they consider the applications. Selection criteria scoring sheet was supplied by the SADC PF for consideration by this committee in order to inform its responsibilities. I've requested that members of the committee, if they have any suggestions or additions or tweaks to that selection scoring sheet, that those be made to the committee by the end of this week. And we've set a deadline for the scoring of 22 February to be submitted by the committee members, and with the view to that committee then meeting on the 25th of February in order to identify the top 5 applicants based upon the assessments of that committee. So that's it in summary. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jay. Colleagues, having heard from Jay, could we kindly request you to validate the committee? You may wish to mention who constitute the selection and recruitment committee, Jay.
Thank you, SG. The committee, I'm going to try and go on memory here. The committee consists of Owen Brady, Valerie Thomas, Yelena, who's on the call, Yelena Quatre, Mr. Kublal from the SADC PF. I stand corrected there. And Caroline, whose surname I'd have to just check in the emails.
Walker.
Thank you kindly, SG.
Yeah.
And let me just check my emails if I've forgotten anyone, but it's a group of 7, and myself.
May we share the list perhaps on the screen?
You may go ahead, Mrs. Muganti. I have so many documents open.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just downloaded the document, but I can't seem to see it. Just give me a minute.
I do have it. I may share my screen.
Sure, go ahead. Kindly enable, Ronald.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
And Pepukai Chivore, apologies.
You may wish to proceed with the listing.
Yes, the names are provided on the screen, colleagues. Once, I don't know if you can all see it properly, but we have Owen, we have Valerie, we have J. Cruz, or we have the Clinton Health Access Initiative, the Regulatory Institute, ASBL, the Public Service Accountability Monitor South Africa, Parliament Budget Office, African Renaissance, SADC PF is represented by 2, the Human Resource and the Director of Finance. May I call for any comments in this regard and request your validation so that they may proceed according to the outline that was just given by Jay. Any objections?
Madam SG.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. We should indicate our thanks to the committee for undertaking this work. Much appreciated. In terms of timelines for when the consultant would be appointed, as a note here, the 25th of February as a finalization date. Are you looking towards the end of the month? Thank you.
I'll allow the chair to respond to that.
The committee has not yet discussed or met to determine the meeting times and the interview dates. We would need to consult with the SADC PF regarding that process. At this stage, the deadline we've set ourselves is the 25th of February in order to shortlist. And at that meeting, we would then look to discuss the aspect of actual interview dates for shortlisted applicants, guided by the SADC PF's calendar. So we don't as yet have a date for actual interviews, and would need to consult further.
Thank you, Chair, for clarifying.
Yes, and just to indicate that Mrs. Mugani did indicate that we should be done by March. And this was dependent on, at that time of discussion, for finalization of the shortlisting and availability of the members. But by March, we should be done. I think mid-March, we should be done with the process. And there's a comment about on the group to say 1 On the list, I see one. Okay, no, all the non-disclosures have been signed. Sorry, thank you. It's at a time of discussion between the two. It was an internal document. One and yeah, all of them have been updated. Thank you for that observation.
Chairperson?
Go ahead, Mr. Simon.
Yeah, just let me understand. Then the people that you have picked haven't been interviewed yet.
The people have not been interviewed. The people have not been interviewed. They have not been selected.
Oh, I see. So
Yes.
what numbers do you intend to pick from these 7 that have been thrown on the screen?
Mrs. Munganti, you may kindly take the floor and just clarify the conclusions of the selection committee. These are the people who are going to do the interviews. And they will shortlist about 5, but I'll allow the director to kindly give that information for your appreciation.
Thank you, SG. We received about 30 applications. So the proposal is that they shortlist to 5. And then we conduct interviews for those 5 and then select the final consultant. So the selection committee has the responsibility to shortlist and then conduct the interviews and pick the final consultant.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much.
Okay, is it representative enough for your approval? Is it okay from what we've just heard from the Director of Finance and Administration? They will submit to the SADC Parliamentary Forum for processing. As you can see, we have at the center of this numbers, the Human Resource and the Director of Finance, who the project accountant, who will then submit to the Director of Finance and up to the Secretary General. So at this point, we seek your approval so that we may proceed in accordance to what has been put before you. Thank you so much. I got an endorsement, approval from Heard. Thank you. I therefore consider that this, thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you so much for this and congratulations to the committee. We encourage you to continue to do your work and we've been happy with our engagement so far. We look forward to you assisting us in this process. The last issue on the agenda now is we had thought we may think of a work plan, and I think this committee has already set out certain milestones already, at least up to the 15th of March. We must then be able to bring the report to the technical working group for them to approve your recommendations, which will be submitted by the Director of Finance, then having followed what has happened by the chair in collaboration with the Director of Finance. I was hoping that we could probably then at this point say, how often do we want to meet so that we move things after maybe let's assume that by the 15th, if we are done, SADC PF will then notify the applicant, check if they're available, and then be able to issue a contract within before the 20th. I'm not looking at my calendar. I'm just assuming that it normally takes a few days. So let's say 5 days for the director to then issue a contract, and we would then have to sit to consider now the inspection report and the work plan of the consultant and the reporting mechanisms of the consultant to engage with the working group among others. So I don't know if at this point we should map out the timeframes, or should we map them out and send them out to you for approval? I would rather we are more certain so that we at least prepared to know when we have to convene, even if it's for an update. If there are any extraordinary circumstances that require us to meet, we'll reach out and indicate that we have to meet. And as I said, our time frame is that by December, we should have a draft in place that should be submitted to our organs for consideration. And in between, given how we process model laws, would like to map out the process. And at this point, I'll allow Mr. Shaunene Kurasha just to quickly give you an outline of the steps that we normally follow that will require that. Okay, let me start here. Let me invite Adolf to basically share what we've been doing with the model of gender-based violence, when we met and how, and then I'll invite Mr. Shaunene Kurasha to augment that so that when we map out the meetings, you don't say, you know, this is too much or we don't have to meet here, but as we exchange emails, there'll be that understanding of what, why we are proposing days for us to be fixed in our calendars for these meetings. And as indicated in the terms of reference, sometimes we may not all have to meet. We may then decide to hire out members from this working group who've not had an opportunity to advise on certain instances that don't require a bigger group to meet. But all this will be done through consultation with the whole of the technical working group via email. We don't always have to have a Zoom meeting. Mr. Maveneke, could you kindly just share the process of when we've been meeting and not meeting before Mr. Shaunene, so that we can be able to map out days that we'll share with the technical working group?
Thank you, Madam Esli. Madam Esli. So the experience from a similar process, which is under the SADC GBV model law, which is an ongoing process as we are speaking, has been that it's a very engaging process. Let me start to mention that, where everyone then is called to attention. Everyone is called to commit their time to the input as a communication on the meetings is circulated. But what I've noted, which has really been very key, and this is something that was even coming from this discussion today, is how we apply ourselves to the process at the end of the day. And what we have also noted is the setting up of dates is very key, because then it prepositions us. Because you'd agree with me then that everyone who is represented here are also engaged similarly in other processes elsewhere within our organization. So the idea of having dates in mind beforehand then prepositions us. We have not done it so well under the current process. That's the GBV model law. But this is the learning that we are getting from that process, that if we do preposition ourselves by setting, say, dates in advance, then we can be able to plan from our ends and then commit ourselves to the process. And as also indicated by SG here, which also applies from the previous process, is this is something that is not like cast in stone, where if Adolf is representing the organization as part and parcel of the technical group, then it always has to be Adolf. There has to be that flexibility. This is even good for institutional memory within the organization. If Adolf is not able to attend today or a particular meeting, then that communication should be circulated within the organization and somebody can second. But this is really engaging, but also very exciting, because we are also extracting some learning and generating some input, which will, at the end of the day, bring us together to the output that we're also trying to develop at the end of the day. I'll end here, SG. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also to indicate that we've been quite flexible in the GBV, where more than one person from an organization attends to listen in, because it is a Zoom platform. And this has really helped us for decision making and for institutional memory, like Adolf says. And it has actually broadened participation and a lot of buy-in from the stakeholders. You will also note that we bring in organizations that are already seized with a similar mandate. So you may find that, like from the GBV model law, we had organizations who say, you know, we've always had on the work plan to do a research on displaced people in relation to GBV, and they'll say, now you've prompted us to quickly move and conduct this research and share so that we may see how well we can inform the model law. Anybody from the organization may say, we've been doing this type of work, we want to share it because we think it's critical information that can propel a certain article in the model law for it to happen. We've had organizations who looked at the budget that we have, which we shared in the concept note that we disseminated to you all, and they said, well, we have had this money for the model law, so can we convene a committee, or we have this information that we feel we can share with members of parliament to broaden the appreciation on this particular concept. So it is not just a benefit to the SADC members of parliament. You as stakeholders may begin to catalyze processes in this area, coin interventions, webinars that will, that will catalyze interest or influence those who should be receiving the model law at the end of the day. Stakeholders out there, we've had organizations that actually hold meetings and send us reports on the basis of the model laws that we're developing. So you may be represented, but you have stakeholders behind you. You have other partners that may be critical in this process. We would then welcome you and receive your input in the working group. And this is how it works. It has worked very, very well. And I believe that this is the type of input that will require your expertise, your facilitation in ensuring that we improve these processes as we go along. So if we don't have any input, maybe Gurasha quickly share the steps of the model law briefly, so that as we map out this process, colleagues can be able to appreciate why fewer meetings or more meetings, yes. But I believe that we should meet, Mrs. Mungandi, kindly check your calendar, and colleagues, shall we meet at the end of, let's say, the 23rd of March, if not that week, so that we may believe that at that time we'll be vetting the recruitment of the model law, the drafter who will be recommended. Ms. Hoven, Ms. Mungandi, kindly. Go ahead, Mr. Shonin.
Thank you very much, ESG. Good morning once again, colleagues. Just briefly to share the process of model lawmaking for SADC Parliamentary Forum. The process broadly consists of 3 main stages, and each of the stages, as I will explain, also has various activities. First stage is the initiation stage, then the development and drafting stage, and the approval stage. The initiation stage, because the mandate to approve the decision to make a model law lies with the plenary assembly, which is the highest policy-making board of SADC PF, and the recommendation could come from any of the organs depending on their mandate and then the issue at the end. And that organ that initiates must table a recommendation to the plenary assembly, and that recommendation must be approved. After approval, we then have to communicate to the relevant organ that has the responsibility of driving the process. You would have seen, for instance, in this case, the TIFI committee, the one on trade, industry, finance, and investment. is the main responsibility. But as I also explained, all our standing committees at some point become involved through a joint sitting when they consider the draft or the draft at different stages. Then the development and drafting stage is the main activities that include the consultations with stakeholders to deal with issues of the scope, the process, the resources, the partnership. It's part of what we are doing, and then the constitution of the technical working group, which, as the SG explained, is the engine of driving the development of a model law to the extent that it offers the technical capacity and make sure that the process is scientific and is informed by evidence. And the next stage is the appointment of the drafter or drafters. And this part of the mandate of the drafters would be to develop a conceptual framework, which is usually contained in a policy paper, which outlines the main conceptual issues, then the drafting, then the process of, there is a process where we also bring in on board drafters from ministries of justice of SADC member states. Then there's also a process where the technical working group working with the relevant standing committee and the legal subcommittee of SADC PF gets involved in considering that draft. When the drafting stage is done, we move towards the approval stage, where we start with the review by joint sitting of all SADC PF standing committees, and after which the inputs are incorporated, and then there is a final validation by the relevant standing committee, obviously supported by the technical working group, and then the relevant committee will then table the draft to the plenary assembly for its consideration and approval. That in brief is the process of model lawmaking at SADC PF. Thank you very much, SG, and thank you, colleagues.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shogunini, for that. You want to talk about the lessons learned?
No, not at this point, SG.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much, colleagues. Briefly, this is what it entails. So at this point, we set up the technical working group, and then, as indicated, Ms. Hove, who's the legal officer and drafter, will send out the document, and then we will endeavor to send out just to map out so that we conclude these processes with oversight. After that, we will then be able to say, okay, we have the drafter. Can we meet to check in accordance with the inception report of the drafter at this point after submission for your review, at this point after submission? And as indicated, if there's any input you'd like to bring to the attention of the technical working group to empower them to look into contemporary issues around PFM, you're also welcome to do so. We can have a webinar around that, including our stakeholders from Parliament and some members. So feel free to do that. I will send out, Mrs. Bungandi will send out just a work plan, briefly plotting in the proposed days leading to the main issue of maybe recruitment and the inception report of the consultant, so that we may approve it, and then thereafter we can come up with a fully fledged annual work plan for our consideration, if this is acceptable to you, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Simon. I submit for thank you. Oh, there's a hand as well, Mr. Simon. Kindly, thank you, Jay. Go ahead, Mr. Simon.
That was a mistake.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. We'll be leaning a lot on you and Mr. Chivora, as you're aware. because you represent the intestines of the institution of parliament in this regard.
Thank you so much.
If I do not see any hand, I will then allow Mrs. Mungandi to confirm any days for us to diarize to the point where we'll be recruiting, we'll be validating the recommendation of the select committee for consideration. Then I'll invite any other question, any other business, and we close the meeting.
Thank you, SG. It has been proposed that the whole process of selecting the consultant concludes by 23rd of March. I think in terms of the actual dates for the rest of the process leading to the selection of the consultant, I would have to liaise with the selection committee. And after that, we can then draft the work plan for the consideration of the committee and for the information of the rest of the technical working group. But the proposal is that by 23rd March, the process should be complete.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that in order, colleagues? Okay, that is the proposal. Any wisdom and input in terms of what we have discussed today? Thank you. Any wisdom, Charles, from UNDP? Any wisdom, Owen?
Thanks, Madam SG, for the opportunity.
Yes.
Thanks for the opportunity to comment. I mean, I think with respect, you followed a very thorough process. The emphasis on ownership and accountability for the work of the selection of the drafter is great. And I think, you know, hopefully those of us who have some technical background in this area can add some more value once we start to see the development of the drafting, and we can you know, input technical comments at that point. I'm very happy to just continue on that basis. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Owen?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I think this process is very thorough, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the technical part where we can contribute more. One quick question on process. I'm wondering, as we're going through this, if we have questions about the process, for example, that the GBV model law went through, is there somebody we should liaise with on your side, just to just on process issues, on how certain problems were solved, etc.?
Sure. We'll give you two names. It would be Mr. Shonina Kurasha, depending on which side of it. If it's administration, it will be the director of admin, and we'll give you a small directory so that you can look at it. If it's issues of process, Mr. Shonina Kurasha and Ms. Elizabeth Hove.
Great, thanks.
Yes. Thank you. Any other input, colleagues? Mr. Simon, you're happy? Governor, are you happy?
Yeah, I'm very okay.
Okay.
Yes, Chair, we have the process, and thank you so much for inviting us to this forum. Happy to contribute and to see a meaningful outcome. Thank you.
Yes, we're looking forward to head, you know, nurturing that research company. You know, we committed earlier at the beginning with Chai on this process. So we should engage more and see how this arm could really assist us in other pathways to bring in this public financial management issue to proper visibility.
Chair, okay. Say one additional thing. My executive director, Professor Poku, who you know, is this process and will be engaging with the group as well.
No, thank you very much. Public lectures will be good as well as we go along. So thank you, colleagues. I saw a hand, it went down, it was a mistake. I'm not sure if it was Mr. Simon or Mr. Chivore from our parliaments. And remember, colleagues, share any literature or prepare any literature that you have currently so that the consultant immediately, when they're recruited, they're able to dig into the literature to be able to help focus us in the initial policy paper that Mr. Shonene referred to. Okay, any other business colleagues? I'm always told don't include this because you're opening up another meeting. Others tell me, no, you have to, so that others also have an opportunity to give updates or say anything in this regard. So colleagues, we're at AOB, the role of the media. Kindly go ahead with the role of the media. Mr. Shonene?
SG, I was putting that to the SG.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the issue is we will look for opportunities along the way to make sure that the process remains out there and stakeholders are informed in terms of the work that will be going on so that they expect the outcome. And because what is more important is not just the development of the model law, but the fact that stakeholders get to know about it and anticipate it so that post-adoption it can be domesticated and find relevance with stakeholders who embed the media strategy within the work of the technical working group and within the entire three processes of three phases of developing the model law.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Shonene Kurasha. You know, we should also revisit some of the stakeholders that we reached out to and see if they can come, because it did include the SADC, what do you call them? Yeah, the grouping for the editors forum. So I think if you know any other grouping colleagues in this regard, please make sure that they're involved. We also have staff from the Parliament of South Africa who are seconded to assist SADC PF with the media strategy. And I think Mr. Shonene will also liaise with them for them to come closer into the process and be attending our meetings to see what we can do. They are bringing a whole outfit of coming up with the broadcasting. If most of you watch channel, I don't know if it's for the one on parliamentary committees, this is what will be coming up. So with your permission, as we go along, we may be allowing them to come in to take into account your discussions. Just like we want transparency and we look at what parliaments do, I think these terms of reference should be included with your permission so that as we work and discuss and debate issues, the people out there can be interested and see how we do our work. Okay, colleagues, hello. Okay. I think then at this point, we may wish to conclude our meeting, and I'll invite the secretary just to thank you quickly so that she's visible for some of us who have not seen her. And just to thank you and say, colleagues, this is the beginning. We will deliver on the key issues that we have given you. We'll also share with you the Word document of the terms of reference so that you look at it all over again after Ms. Hove has looked at them again. So thank you very much. Maybe Valerie, you could kindly thank us all for being here, and we look forward to seeing you in the future, colleagues.
Yes, thank you, Secretary General. Again, thank you everyone for your participation today, and my apologies for being late. I'm looking forward to a fruitful process, working together to develop a public financial management law, and looking forward to everyone being motivated and to work towards this goal. And I believe the next meeting will be on or around 23rd of March. So see you all then, and I guess as Secretary, I will circulate the relevant information.
Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you,
good
colleagues.
Day. Continue to social distance, wash your hands, stay at home, keep away from beverages, out there in the bars. That's a super spreader for us, and funerals and many other, you know, occasions that we're used to. And thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Take care. Keep safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye to everyone. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
all.
you.
Bye.
Please.